With the Jets hiring some new coaches over the weekend, we thought who would be better to talk to than our coach, Mike Westhoff, to get his take on all of this. He joins us on the phone to break it all down. Mike, how are you? And do you like John Morton as the Jets' new offensive coordinator?
Hey, guys, I'm doing great. I think it's an interesting move. To be honest with you, I like it. And I'll tell you why. You know, I mean, this guy, the one thing that everyone questioned is the fact that he really, was an offensive coordinator 1 year at Southern Cal and not in the NFL. But his record ever as a receiver coach is very good. You know, his three receivers this past year down at New Orleans, their numbers are off the charts. He's got the close association with Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh. So I like that. And in the last 2 years, the New Orleans Saints offense has been first or second. So I like his association. And also the fact that this is something for him to really dig into. His own creativity, his own identity. You know, sometimes a guy comes in and says, oh, yeah, he's experienced. Well, we had an experienced offensive coordinator last year, very experienced. And we had a second-round draft pick that never even got in the game after 16 weeks. So you tell me. Give me an answer. I don't like it. I like this guy, and the more I read about him and study, the more I like. Now, I am a little concerned with his development of quarterbacks. Does he really have the mechanics to gradually develop a guy, or how quick can that be accelerated?
Well,
Maybe he needs help. I don't know that. I think that's an interesting question.
All right, well, you bring that point up. As the offensive coordinator, how much of a role should he have in choosing who the quarterback is for next year?
Well, he better have a significant one. I think it's got to be a lot. Whether they decide if they go the free agency route, which they might, because don't forget, Mike McCagan and Todd Bowles now, if anyone doesn't think they're out on the limb, then you've really been in left field. Those two guys have a lot of pressure on them. The quickest way for success for them, not necessarily in my opinion, but for them, might be a good, solid free agent and then build this team around them. That would let them concentrate on the draft with that first-round pick. And they got to get an offensive lineman in there pretty soon or they're in trouble. So that's an interesting debate. Now, if you can go with the correct quarterback in the draft, well, then that's really interesting. But his role must be crucial, and I hope he's delving into it as we speak.
I hope so, too. Let's switch to the other side of the ball. What can Kevin Greene do for the Jets' outside linebackers?
It makes me extremely happy, this one. Look at the Jets' outside group that we're talking, defensive line, outside linebackers. You got Leonard Williams, Big Mo, Sheldon Richardson when we can straighten them out, Lorenzo Malden, #1 draft pick Darren Lee, and, of course, Jordan Jenkins. A lot of high picks and some talent. What did it equal? In my opinion, money can buy. That's what the Jets had. Now, this guy, Hall of Fame, 5-time Pro Bowler, 15 years in the league, led the NFL in sacks twice. He's third on the sack list in the history of the NFL. I saw a special on him when he was coaching at Green Bay. I loved his intensity and his teaching. What I watched him do with Clay Matthews, and I watched it, was really impressive. I think this guy gives the Jets exactly what they need.
All right, you touched on the defensive line. Let's talk about that new coach, Robert Nunn. Can you think in your mind that he can bring out the best in that talented defensive line and get them to go to meetings on time, for goodness sake?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I worked with him 1 year, and he didn't knock me out. You want an honest answer? On our show, we do that.
Well, what did knock you out about him then?
I'm sorry. Well, I just didn't. I didn't know him all that well. There's something about him that I never. I'll tell you what I did like. He's a disciplined person. He's got discipline. I like that, and I think he'll bring that to that group. Did he just excite me or jump at me? There's something. I didn't see it. So I really have a gigantic question mark as I look at him. I'll be anxious to go to training camp and the OTAs and watch him work. Now, I know he's with the Giants. He kind of fit in to that Tom Coughlin mold of just kind of, I don't know, just kind of square a little bit. Don't get me wrong. A lot of discipline, and I think Tom's a heck of a coach. That's not my point. But you better grab these guys by the neck to get them straightened out. Will he do that? I hope so. he's going to have to. We're going to find out in a hurry because that situation has got to get going. One thing I did like, I don't remember watching him ever coach, that I saw JPP and those guys lined up all over the place and dropping out covering the flat. So maybe he'll solve that problem.